Hey everyone! If you're an SAP developer who has ever totally dreaded a system upgrade, well, you definitely know the pain of traditional customizations. Welcome to this masterclass explainer, where we're going to confront a really hard truth about SAP development and look at exactly how we absolutely must evolve. 75%. That's a massive number, right? According to Gartner, 75% of ERP implementations either fail or get completely derailed. And you know the biggest culprit? Custom code built directly inside the core. It's a classic jugaad approach, a quick fix that feels great at the time, but completely breaks your system when it's time to actually upgrade. Suddenly, a simple quarterly update turns into a massive, stressful project. Dosto, here is our roadmap for this explainer to help you master SAP Clean Core. First, the foundation. Then, the inside track, followed by the outside track. After that, we'll dive into some real-world scenarios, and finally, we'll do some interview prep and revision. All right, let's jump right into part one, the foundation.
Samajh lo, you really need to understand this carefully. Clean Core isn't just some flashy marketing buzzword. It's a strict, non-negotiable architecture where you keep the standard SAP S/4HANA system as close to standard as humanly possible. How do we do that? By building your extensions completely outside the core, or by using highly stable SAP-defined extension points. The entire goal here is upgrade simplicity. We want your system upgrades to take just days, not months.
And that brings us to the absolute golden rule of modern SAP development. If you take away anything today, memorize this. Keep the SAP core standard. Build your custom logic next to it, not inside it. You should literally never modify the core when you can extend it cleanly. Now let's think about how this actually changes the game. In the traditional approach, classic ABAP, you had total freedom. You could write direct OpenSQL queries on pretty much any standard table, like VBAK or Mara. But ABAP Cloud, it blocks these unsafe patterns by design. You can only use released CBS views and a strict API-first approach. If you bypass an API in classic ABAP, you are literally creating a breakage point for your very next upgrade, which skyrockets your total cost of ownership. Moving on to part two, the inside track. So what happens if your extension needs to be highly integrated into core business processes? Maybe it requires heavy, fast SQL access, where moving data to the cloud would just kill your performance. Here, we use on-stack extensibility, and this comes in two distinct flavors. First, key user extensibility, which is perfect for adding custom fields without writing a single line of code. And second, developer extensibility, which gives you that complex, tight coupling, but strictly in a cloud-safe way. Man लीजिए, let's assume you're going with developer extensibility. You are now officially working in ABAP Cloud. This framework strictly enforces an API-first development model using RAP, the RESTful Application Programming Model. It explicitly blocks direct database queries to standard tables. Plus, you have to deliver your code via Git-based BTP pipelines. Listen, if you violate RAP rules, your code will literally trigger runtime errors. It's enforced by the system. It is not just a polite guideline. Okay, let's shift gears to part three, the outside track. What about apps that require frequent shipments, massive elasticity, or maybe you have non-ABAP developers on your team? That is exactly where we use side-by-side extensibility. In this model, it's like your custom logic and extensions are simply orbiting the standard core, rather than being tangled up inside it. They operate completely independently from the core database. We build these decoupled side-by-side extensions right on SAP BTP, the Business Technology Platform. This gives us massively enhanced security and highly scalable cloud qualities. It completely isolates our custom code so we can innovate rapidly, all without ever laying a finger on S/4HANA. By leveraging the Cloud Application Programming Model, or CAP, alongside Fiori or SAP UI5 for the front end on BTP, developers can build some incredibly powerful tools. The beauty of this approach is that it benefits from a broad spectrum of developers with entirely different skill sets, not just your traditional ABAP experts. So how exactly does this outside app talk to the core? Well, these CAP extensions communicate exclusively through SAP's sanctioned REST APIs to read and write data, or they use SAP Event Mesh for real-time notifications. You never, ever access the core database directly. The API is your secure, backwards-compatible contract. Let's make this concrete with part four, real-world scenarios. Imagine a totally realistic business scenario. A new sales opportunity is created trigger. The old, traditional way, you'd probably write risky custom logic deep inside the ERP. But the new Clean Core way, it's elegant. S/4HANA simply fires an event to SAP Event Mesh. Then, a completely separate CAP app sitting on BTP listens for that exact event, triggers the custom logic, reads whatever data it needs via an API, and completes the task. The ERP stays 100% standard. And look, here is where so many projects are failing today. The absolute biggest mistake developers make is treating ABAP Cloud like it's just a simple rebrand. Like SAP just gave classic ABAP a fancy new name. No way. If you try to force those old open SQL habits and bypass the restricted programming model during a cloud migration, your code will literally break. It is a fundamental ground-up shift in architecture. Let's wrap things up with part 5, interview prep and revision. If you've got an SAP interview coming up, a technical recruiter is almost certainly going to test your mindset by asking, why has SAP introduced these strict restrictions in ABAP Cloud? Why not just let developers code freely like they used to? Your answer needs to be strong and hit 4 key things. First, upgrade stability. Custom code built on released APIs simply won't break during cloud updates. Second, reduce TCO, which means much less effort adapting code later. Third, enforcing the Clean Core boundary itself. And fourth, promoting resilient, scalable cloud qualities. Make it clear it's not about taking power away from developers, it's entirely about future-proofing the system. For our final rapid-fire revision, just remember the Rise with SAP Clean Core framework demands exactly 5 things: efficient processes, clean extensibility, lean data, reliable integrations, and effective operations. These 5 pillars are what ensure your entire IT landscape remains agile and robust. To wrap up this explainer, a successful Clean Core strategy really comes down to the avoidance of bad habits, completely decoupling your custom logic, and strict governance. It is officially time to build without breaking upgrades. But I want to leave you with this question. As SAP pushes aggressively toward an AI-driven, cloud-first future, are your legacy ABAP skills going to become your biggest liability? Or will you master Clean Core and become the modern architect your enterprise so desperately needs tomorrow? Thanks for joining me today. Keep learning, keep that core clean, and I'll catch you next time.